Hi, this is Ushio, and welcome back to Roman's Christmas. I just turned the game on, ready to have my next gaming session, and I just noticed the title screen. It kind of eliminated, if you compare it to how the game first started, it eliminates all the people who've died off so far. So yeah, we're in deep spoiler territory right now. Let's get to it. So we've just been witness to a murder. So Ionis got killed, and Lunik got killed by his wife because Lunik was cheating on her. And it's all a bit dicey and people getting killed, and suddenly we are down even more people. So here we go. Solo was sprawled ungracefully in an armchair by the fire and didn't look at me as I approached her. I don't know what I'm doing really. You care to tell me what's going on with that dagger you were carrying? The dagger? It was a gift from my mother the night before I got married. She told me. Mother, why are you so late? I'd hoped I could give this to you before you were wed. Here, take it. A dagger? The night before I married your father, my mother gave it to me, like her mother before her. Why did she give you a dagger, though? This is no ordinary dagger. It's a memento, a talisman that will ensure your husband remains faithful and kind. I see, thanks. Make sure you keep it close. I suggest hiding it in the inner pocket of your dress, like I do. I doubt the dagger was actually magical, but it did its job, one way or the other. Then why? Suddenly, I felt like that wasn't a good question. I don't know. When he was gloating like that, I just saw red. Why didn't he tell me? I thought he acted like this because he was worried or under stress or under financial pressures. I always thought that if I helped share the burden, give him time to rest, then he would... Sola ducked her head and whimpered. It was like my body moved in instinct. When I came to, I was already holding the knife and standing behind him. Is this the point where you tell me the verdict? Truth be told, I can't do anything. Although I'd like to see you accept the punishment you deserve, my paws are tired. When the slow stops, I'll hand you over to the proper authorities. Thank you. Go back to your room, I'll bring you some food later. Since so much has happened, I'd wager you'd prefer to be alone right now. Sarzan handed me a key. Alright, thanks. Sola took the key, delicately wiped her eye, and silently went upstairs. I figured you'd want to tie her hands at least. No need for that, I think. I'd probably have done the same thing if I was in her position. Besides, I'm not used to being so rude to a lady. It's not unreasonable, though. Sarzan sighed and sat in the chair opposite of me. I can't believe something like this has happened. It's not like we could have known. And Ionis, I couldn't imagine it. As a drinking buddy of his for so long, I didn't even realise. But then again, maybe he didn't want to let others know. I don't quite believe your reasoning. Ionis wasn't the kind of guy who would blackmail someone. I don't think so either, but from Lunik's point of view, it was probably his only option. He couldn't just risk the scandal of getting out. Sarzan stood up and dusted off his hands. I should go fix lunch. Okay, so we've had a lot of stuff go on, but to be honest, all of the main victims have been all of the regulars at the tavern. So the only regulars who have so far been unscathed is Roman, the main character, Sarzan and Peter. Anzoks, Ionis and Kane have all been hurt in this, and all the people doing all the stabbing and killing, it's all the visitors who we've not seen before, so I'm kind of curious what's going on. Peter strode toward me, his expression hostile. Didn't you say that you would protect everyone? What? First Kane, then Anzoks, and now Ionis. Are you doing this on purpose? Peter was shouting, loud enough that the other guests in the hall looked over. It's not like I can just magically do stuff. Bullshit! For all we know, you're just manipulating us so you can satisfy your desire to solve murders. Do you seriously hear what you're saying right now? You think I enjoy watching the people I care about die? You think anybody, least of all me, is happy with what's going on? Sorry. Peter took 2 steps back, then turned and bolted upstairs. It's too hot by the hearth. Let's choose somewhere else. The only remaining trace of Lunik's presence had been reduced to a few red smears on the carpet. It's hardly a satisfying solution. I mean, I guess. By the way, this is for you. Elegant handed me a collection of grey hairs and winked. What? I took it out of the washstand. You what? A thank you should suffice. A thank you? Is it really necessary to shout? You lied to me, presented fake evidence, and still want me to thank you? Calm down, there's no need for that. You are this close to ruining my entire career, and you want me to thank you? Oh, Roman, don't conceal evidence. And then you just took my hair and pretended it was Lunix to... Oh man. So she framed him to get him to spill the beans. I stomped upstairs and decided not to go downstairs until it was time to eat. I slammed the door shut behind me and fell onto the bed, burying my muzzle in the pillow. I heard footsteps hurrying upstairs. I didn't care. Oh, my burakin, we still have a long time before dawn. Not to spoil the mood or nothing, but your wife is literally just down the hall. She's unimportant right now. Yeah, but if she catches us, you're screwed, you know. Oh, I mean, her family's pretty influential in Cordoba, and a Marquis getting railed by a dock worker ain't the sort of thing a reputation recovers from. Don't get me wrong, I'll still love you if you're just some penniless bum on the street, but just in case, it might be a smart idea to set up a little something between us, just as a backup. And how, mon beau, would she find out? Well, given how much noise you make, I'm surprised she hasn't noticed by now. Oh come on, I'm just messing with you. Yeah, teasing me. I mean, you're always such a tease. Then perhaps it's my turn to take the initiative. Well, climb on up. So these guys, they had a proper relationship. It wasn't like a pure blackmail situation by the sounds of it, but we'll have to find out. I need to eat something. I locked the door and walked downstairs. Peter was sitting across from Heron, his ears drooping down and his eyes bloodshot, like he'd just finished crying. Or maybe it was just the stress. Heron was scrutinising him from across the table, elbows on the table and fingers interlaced. He wouldn't have looked out of place talking in a confession booth. Tarzan was quietly scrubbing an already spotless mug behind the bar, his expression vacant. Thrivy was staring down at his grimoire, though the lack of turning pages suggested he wasn't reading. Soda was seated in the corner of the tavern, with a glass in her hands, the fur on her cheeks matted. Fortunately, no one unwanted had come. Who should I sit with? I mean, Soda's like a pure murderer, but we're kind of letting her off loose, so I don't even know. I sat across from her. She raised her head, hesitated for a while, and put the half-empty cup of ale down. Thank you. I shrugged. Soda paid no attention and continued. I don't know why I did it, I just... Everyone says that. Most people who kill in the heat of passion barely remember the actual act itself. I just couldn't tolerate it anymore. How could someone who seemed so decent change so suddenly? Soda was wringing her hands and leaned forward. And how did I not... She halted, but finally didn't speak it out. If you were in my position, then would you have? Maybe, I don't know. I looked around and nodded quietly. Soda let out a soft sigh and seemed to relax a bit. Thank you. Which, that means a lot. To tell the truth, who wouldn't go a bit mad when faced by something like that? If our roles were reversed, I'm not sure even I could resist the urge. Okay, let's go sit with, these guys. I sat down by the bar. Tarzan had picked up another cup to scrub and was idly talking to Thrivy. Oh, surely it is. It's unbelievable that someone like Sola would do something like that. I couldn't believe it myself. But then again, it's not surprising a lady from Kubota would do that. Isn't it a tag gauche to judge someone based on their parentage? It's custom, not parentage. Tarzan turned the cup down on the bar and leaned forward, tapping the wood of the bar with his index finger. If the judiciary is to be believed, Cordoban ladies tend to deal with unfaithful spouses in a very direct manner. And how would a tavern owner this far north know such things? Thrivy frowned at Tarzan, his expression quizzical. It's a secret, like the recipe for my cider. Tarzan shrugged his shoulders and walked into the kitchen. Okay, let's go sit... Can I sit with these guys a bit more? Thrivy sat by the counter alone, and Tarzan was busy in the kitchen. Okay, let's go chat with Peter and Heron. I sat down at an unoccupied table next door. Peter had already stopped crying and was talking to Heron in a trembling voice. It's quite alright. If you need help, don't hesitate to ask. God would never abandon any of his children. But it's too selfish. If I really do so, I would have danger you. Put me in danger? Yeah, I'll put you in danger. By the blessings of God, I fear no such danger. Such bravery is God's gift for my service to his children. So don't worry, just say whatever this request is. I can't sleep in my room, with the idea that Kane's killer was only one wall away from me, But a change of room would just put him nearer to where Kane passed away, wouldn't it? Don't worry, you need not fear any restless spirits, as I have given them the proper rights. They are where they're supposed to be. It's not that I don't believe you, it's just that I'm afraid. Father, can I change the room with you tonight? Heron scratched his head and sighed. Who am I to refuse such a small request from someone in need? We can exchange rooms after dinner tonight. Tarzan pushed the curtain to the kitchen aside with his horn and came out with a pot. Okay, lunchtime. Who wants? There's not a lot to choose from though. We only have meat stew for now, and if that doesn't agree with your appetite, then it's kinda too bad. So it's either eat or don't eat. How nice he gave us the choice. And if you're wondering about the flavour, I went a bit overboard with the seasoning, for no reason. I'm guessing that horse isn't exactly palatable. Yeah, there are these horses that died outside, so they got dragged in and served up. Tarzan spooned the stew carefully into the bowls and collected the last bits of broth into the last bowl. Bon appetit, everyone eat up. Tarzan put a wooden bowl in front of me, then walked to the round table where Solo was sitting. Peter was poking at his stew, trying to find vegetables. Thrivy was holding his bowl and sipping the broth gently, and occasionally sparing a glance at Heron, who was devouring the stew. Tarzan turned back and took the last bowl of broth down to the cellar. I put the wooden spoon aside and held the bowl to my mouth with both hands. Suddenly, a heavy thudding sound came from upstairs. What in the world? The corridor was empty, and every door was closed firmly. Lodgers followed one by one to see what had made the noise from the attic. Ow, stupid limp legs. He's awake! Anzoks is up. Thrivy squeezed past me and hurried up the ladder into the attic, and he wonders why people mistake him for being a kid. When I climbed up to the attic, Thrivy had lifted Anzoks up from the floor and had him seated on the edge of the bed. Oh, much obliged. I'm just glad that you're finally awake. I was worried that you wouldn't wake up. Was it really that serious? Thrivy was nibbling on his index finger and he kind of nodded, yeah. I've slept, how long was I asleep? It's been... Thrivy quickly calculated on his fingers. A little over a day or so. And here I thought I'd wake up to find Helios III sitting on the throne. Well, I doubt that. Before I could finish, Anzoks clamped Thrivy's mouth shut. Oh? Take care with your words, or... Oh, between the heavy snow and the dwindling population, I think we'll be fine. What did you say? Yeah, a lot has happened since this guy has kind of been knocked out. We've had one person thrown into the basement because he knocked out Anzoks, and we've had 2 more murders. Between the heavy snow... No, the last part. What do you mean dwindling population? Well, the fact is, while you were unconscious, there was kind of like another incident. Anzoks' hands stiffened. What happened? Let him recover before telling him, but okay, who? Wait, don't tell me. I'm starving. Please tell me there's something available. I'd rather face tragedy with a full belly. Oh yeah, there is. Thrivy glanced at me and raised his eyebrows. I had to admit, I wasn't used to seeing eyebrows on the dragon. But given how fluffy he was, it made sense that he had eyebrows. I looked into the stew pot. It was completely empty. It was so clean that I almost suspected that Tarzan had thoroughly licked the pot. I should probably check elsewhere. Both Thrivy's stew and mine are untouched. Take whose stew? I guess we'll take mine. I tipped my bowl and walked upstairs slowly. A fairy white paw reached down for the bowl. I stood on my tiptoes and handed it up to him. I can feed myself, thank you. You'll do no such thing. Do you remember what happened when you tried to stand up under your own power? Now hush. Thrivy was spooning the broth into Anzoks' mouth. In your current state, all you'd end up doing is spinning it all over the bed. Truly? Then if nothing else, I would have an easy midnight snack. I doubt Tarzan would agree with that. Well, time to look around. I should be able to peek into someone's room if they're not there. Okay, so we can explore. Anzoks, how are you feeling? Let's listen to their conversation. Re, my, so, sa, me, so, sa. Oh, they're singing songs? As I had feared, after such a long coma, my skill at singing has become as rusty as my scales. You're only unconscious for a day? That's hardly long enough to forget basic arpeggios. True, but my head does still hurt. Wait, you know about music too? I was speaking rhetorically. Anzoks cast a doubtful look at Thrivy, sniffed the air and shrugged his shoulders. You lack the scent of a musician. Since when was that smellable? Unless you have urgent matters, I suggest you stay in bed until you're fully recovered. Okay, it's nice that he's finally up. So I guess we can kind of go somewhere else. So where should we go? I guess we could check all the rooms, but there's also the basement. Oh, Vincel's down there. He definitely wasn't the murderer, and all he's really done is knock out Anzoks. I'm not sure. Let's go to our room and have a little bit of a look around. What's down here? The drawer contains the arrow stained with Earnest's blood. Most arrows only kill one person. I guess it should feel honoured to be involved in two. I mean, that's kind of grim, but sure. There's only some boring clothes in the bag, nothing that at a glance would suggest that the bag's owner was a detective. 2 shirts, 1 white and 1 blue, in the same textured style, and a pair of pants. Okay, let's go next door. I guess we'll go to all of the rooms. This is Vincel's room. He's currently stuck in the basement. I opened Vincel's drawer. It contained spice samples, wallets, and a pair of gloves. Strange. I remembered that when he was taken into the cellar, I heard footsteps from outside the door, so I quickly closed the drawer without touching the contents. With no murder cases now, it's inappropriate to search someone's belongings, or at least try to not get caught while doing it. Okay, that's interesting. Let's keep moving. Or should we check? Should we check his bags just to be safe? Keep checking here. In Vincel's luggage, there are 2 sets of fine clothing and a wooden box with various spice samples in it. There's also a stack of fabric samples, but none of them felt as nice as Vincel's own clothes. Okay, we'll keep moving. Elegant's not here. We kind of shouted at her before because she kind of messed around with our last case. The only thing in that drawer is the notebook. I'm sick of seeing that thing. And her luggage. There was a set of ordinary clothes in the bag. Nothing that would make you stand out in a crowd while wearing them. The last thing anyone in her profession would want is a uniform. After all, you never know when you would need to hide in a crowd. Yeah, because she's kind of like an investigator or something. Let's go to Earnest's room, where there was, a lot happened in here. There was like a death and stuff. The drawer's empty. Tarzan must have emptied it. And here? Earnest's bed. Looks like it moved a little. It probably made a lot of noise. And here? Snow drifted on the wind into the window and flew along the rising air. Okay, but I'm not sure what's going on. I think there's definitely some kind of big interconnected plot. And do you think like Tarzan's the ultimate kind of target for these people? Because he seems to have his secrets, but I'm really not sure. But we got all these empty rooms because of all these dead people. Kane's nightstand was empty. I mean, yeah, all these dead people. There's Sean's room. Do you remember him? Way back in like episode 2 or 3 was it? Can we check their stuff now? Marquis Solar's luggage. I can't open it without her consent. Although the biggest reason is that I couldn't open the lock. Okay. We'll go visit Peter. Heron and Peter were exchanging rooms. I'll wait until they finish. That's interesting. This is definitely going to come into it that they've switched rooms. Okay. Here we go. There's no one around here. I looked around and quietly opened a slit in the nightstand to peek inside. Oh, was it really just a set of women's underwear? I immediately closed the drawer. Not a lot to go on. So let's go downstairs then. There's nothing in the corridor, is there? Heron and Peter were swapping rooms. Yeah, we'll leave them to it. We'll go down. So what is going on in the basement? Tarzan stood at the counter and the way was too narrow to pass. So we can't go down there? Why not? No. Okay. It seems there's someone inside. They weren't making any noises, but my instincts told me so. Okay, so there's someone in the stalls. Hello? Let's knock. I didn't hear any sounds inside, so maybe I'm mistaken. So I guess we'll go into the hall. The hall is empty. There's only Tarzan, who had just put the kitchen in order and was standing beside the counter, and Sola, who was avoiding his gaze in silence. So, where's Elegant? Is she in the toilet, I guess? Let's talk to these guys. Why won't the snow stop? If this keeps up, I'll run out of things to cook and water to cook it with. Sola didn't respond, but sat there quietly and stared at the ring on her finger. Okay, but can I please go to the cellar? No. I just want to check on Vincel, make sure he's not being quietly, killed while no one's looking. I'm not sure where to go. So is the pillow like a separate item? Yes, maybe I need to check the pillows. Maybe someone's got something stashed underneath, their pillow or something. There's a candle. Yeah, candles. Okay, let's check out Elegant's room and we'll check the pillow. I think that's my thing. Go and have a look at this. Fluffy pillow for a professional. It's a pity we don't have any of those here. No professionals here. And there's a candle. Nothing special. Got the door and the window. Harry and Peter are swapping rooms, but I'm not interested in helping. I haven't looked around here that much. I heard the wooden door slowly open. I turned around and stepped back, holding my breath, and trying not to look too tense. Detective, dinner time. I nodded and quickly followed. Thrivy pushed open the door, glanced quickly about the room, and tilted his head. Go downstairs when you're ready. I'll wait. I nodded and left the room with him. Okay, the tavern's atmosphere was a bit brighter since Anzoks had returned, and the long-absent smile had returned to Sarzan's face. I sat down at the table by the hearth opposite of Anzoks and Peter. Oh, I suppose it's fortunate that it was I who was struck by the ladder and not somebody else. Don't say that. True, you don't have much fame or money or success right now, but... Oh, actually, I meant it's because I have scaly armour. Otherwise, well, you know. Peter froze with his mouth half open, as though his brain was catching up to his jaw. I mean, you're also right about the other stuff. Sarzan set 3 bowls of stew down in front of us. The stew seemed a bit lower in quality than before. I could see how stringy the meat was without even trying. Enjoy your meal. Easy for him to say. You need strong jaws to eat this. Anzoks held his bowl to his mouth and poured the contents down his throat. I could have sworn he didn't even chew it. Peter slowly picked up a piece of meat, wrinkled his nose and took a bite. I'd imagine that Sarzan's produce reserves are already empty, but in our current situation, being picky wasn't really an option. After chewing for a long time, he turned his head and watched Anzoks lick the bottom of the bowl. You still hungry? Of course I am. You think a dragon's appetite could be so easily satisfied? Peter slowly pushed his bowl to Anzoks, while using his body to block the movements of his hands from being seen by Sarzan. Besides, I was hungry before, and I missed Christmas dinner. I swear, I'd eat a whole saddle, and know everything by this point. Yeah, then you're probably going to like the stew. Anzoks grabbed the bowl in front of him and poured the second bowl of stew right into his mouth. Okay, having a big old catch-up. After dinner, everybody stayed in the hall. No one wanted to be the first to go upstairs, so everyone sat silently in their seats, staring at each other with the sound of snow and wind outside the windows. Okay, now that everyone's free, how about we decide on the night watch candidate for tonight? As soon as Anzoks started to raise his hand, Thrivy glared at him. You may have slept all day and night, but that's no reason for you to do a vigil before you fully recover. As the resident doctor, I suggest you rest until your scales have healed. Don't even think about it. Well, what a troublesome doctor you are. Were I not so troublesome, you would be dead. I can do it, I'm the tavern owner, and... Before he finished speaking, Sarzan was interrupted by a great yawn. Oh, never mind. I raised my hand. I can kind of handle it if nobody else wants to. Haven't you got a cold? It's fine, it's just like a cold and shit. I can tell by your voice that your throat must be sore. Are you okay? Don't worry, I'm fine. I adjusted my collar. It should be difficult tonight. Everyone went upstairs one after the other, and I did too. I had to go back to my room to get something. Tarzan followed me, and we went upstairs together. I got into the room, and I could hear the sound of keys turning and locks clicking coming from the hall. I settled down and prepared to spend the night awake. It wouldn't be too difficult to hear anything upstairs, so I might as well be here. In all aspects, in fact, this room was the most suitable place to keep watch. I just can't fall asleep. Alright. Did we fall asleep though? It is the next day. It is the 27th of December 1285. I just cannot fall asleep. There was a loud, sudden knock, and my eyes snapped open. Oh, I did fall asleep, shit. I quickly got up from the bed and hurried to open the door. Oh, you're fine too. I looked into the corridor from the crack of the door only to find that there were several dark brown footprints on the corridor leading toward the spiral staircase. Then that just leaves Peter. Before I could react, Sarzan took a hand from the keychain, but the key failed to enter the keyhole. What? Maybe this one? After several failed attempts, Sarzan crowed and used his shoulder to burst open the door, and the door slammed open. Ah man, here comes that blood. That was the only thing that would fill my thought at this point. The door swung open, and the thick, sticky miasma of fresh blood flowed out, spreading from the blood-spattered wall. A pool of blood at the door was evenly smeared by the bottom of the door, painting a crimson arc. Peter was lying peacefully on his bed, a ham knife sticking out from his chest. The blood flowing from the wound was gelled and stuck to his fur of his trunk without falling. No traces of a struggle, no scream for help, and no shocked expression. A quick, precise, painless death. That was the only comfort I had, and the only thought that kept me sane and aware in the face of such a brutal scene. Sarzan stood there numbly. His hand fell slack from the doorknob as he stepped into the room, and his foot landing on the half-dried, bloody footprint. How could he have so much blood? It was as if every word had to squirm free from his gritted teeth. Sarzan bent forward and slumped to the ground, and the impact from his body even shook the wooden beams that held up the ceiling. Anzoks and Thrivy ran up from the side, holding his shoulders to help him up. Soda gritted her teeth and leaned against the wall. Heron moved to help her, but Soda waved him away. Wait, someone's missing. I raced downstairs to the lobby, and the fire was out. Okay, I'm going to leave this at a cliffhanger. So we're going to leave this episode here. This is Usho signing off, and hopefully I will see you next time, and we'll see what is going to happen downstairs.